Welcome to Fresh Start. I'm Mary Beth, your host, and today we are going to make some summer sandwiches, and you can also fix them in the wintertime. But I first want to start off the show by saying hello to Christopher. If you're out there, Christopher, and viewing today, Christopher is a 6-year-old boy that watches the show. He has autism. And his mother said that he doesn't really talk a lot, and when he watches the show, he actually gets up and dances, and she's actually sent us footage of him doing this. So we just want to say, hey, Christopher, hope you're having a good day. All right, today's show may seem a little gross to some people because we're cooking with sauerkraut. A lot of people don't like sauerkraut, but there's also a lot of people that love sauerkraut. So the first thing we're going to do today, and your ingredients, you're going to marinate some tempeh. Tempeh is a 3-grain, it's like a little patty that you buy, and it has soy, millet, and barley and rice. So just a little bit of soy, it's not a whole lot. So you can actually pick whichever one you like. If you want more millet, you can actually pick a different type of grain for this. And this is, I don't think it's available in McMinnville. It may be at Kroger, but I know that they have it at Trader Joe's and Whole Foods. And it's not expensive. It runs about $2 a pack. So this is what we're going to be cooking with today, and this is actually going to be a Reuben sandwich, but a healthy one. So you're not going to get all the grease and all the calories. You're going to actually get nutrients and lots of delicious food that's good for you. All right, the first thing you're going to do for this particular recipe is you're going to marinate your tempeh. And how you marinate tempeh, you can make it taste like anything. So what you typically do to cut it is you're first going to cut it in half. And then what I like to do is I cut it down the center just to make it go further. I don't know if you can see how I did that. You want it to be really cold, almost frozen. It cuts a whole lot better the colder it is. All right, so I'm just going to set this to the side right here. So the first thing we're going to put in this marinade is 2 tablespoons of olive oil. The next thing we're going to do is some balsamic vinegar. And we're going to do 2 teaspoons of that one too. So that's about, 2 teaspoons. Then some Worcestershire sauce. I can't say that really good, but I tried. All right, and again, 2 of those, and some raw apple cider vinegar. And again, this particular apple cider vinegar has the mother in it. I've talked about it before. It's kind of gross looking in the bottom, but it's actually good bacteria for your gut. So if you have problems with digestion, this is excellent for you. This sandwich is actually good for people that have problems with digestion. All right, so that's going to take just 1 teaspoon. I know this is a big spoon, but whoop. Let's do that again. There we go. All right, and then you're going to add 1 teaspoon of liquid smoke. This is liquid smoke. For people like myself that does not eat meat and we want stuff like potato soup to have that bacon flavor, this is the trick. So I'm just going to put a capful of that in there. Whoops, there we go. It smells just like bacon too. All right, and then 2 teaspoons of minced garlic. Gonna add, there we go. And then in this little bowl here, I've added 1 teaspoon of onion powder, 1 teaspoon of dried mustard, 1 teaspoon of dried coriander, and 1 teaspoon of smoked paprika. And so your smoked paprika is also going to give it that meat bacon flavor. So just put all back in there. And you're just going to stir that up. So I'm going to add a little bit more balsamic vinegar. This smells really good, by the way. Just a little bit. So I'm going to put this in. I'm going to go ahead and heat up my pan here. You're going to put it on medium heat, medium to high. Put just a little bit of olive oil in there. And if you want, you can actually add a little bit of water to this. And that's what I'm going to do just to make it go a little bit further. I'm going to go ahead and get that cooking. And it may fall apart on you a little bit, but it'll go right back together with the sauce on it. And you can also, if you want to use, you can actually use tofu with this recipe. Just do it the same way that I'm doing it today. And, you know, it is going to give it a little bit different texture, but it's still just as good. Pour a little bit more. I'm going to just kind of okay, so while that's cooking, we're also going to make a dressing for this. So the dressing that we normally use on a Reuben is either a Russian or a kind of like a Thousand Island dressing. So we're going to make this from scratch where it is healthier for you. So you're going to start with a 1/3 cup of veganese, which today I've used the Just Mayo that you can get here at Walmart in McMinnville. And they also have a brand at Kroger. Oh wait, oops, that's butter. It's a good thing about live television, right? Okay, this is the mayonnaise, sorry. And this is the vegan mayo. And that, by the way, was vegan butter, so we'll talk more about that here in just a minute. Pump that up a little bit. So the next thing you're going to do is ketchup. And this ketchup is about 2 teaspoons. And a horseradish. What I'm going to use here is just a little, about 1/2 teaspoon. Go in there. That's going to give it a little spice. And then I'm going to use 1 teaspoon or 1/8 teaspoon of hot sauce. If you like it really spicy, you can use more. I'm going to mix that up really good. And you can add salt and pepper in this if you'd like. I'm going to taste it. Very good. And like I said, if you can tweak it to however you like it. If you like for it to be more spicy, add more hot sauce, more of the horseradish if you prefer. So I'm wanting my tempeh to get pretty good and brown. I'm going to go ahead and crank up the heat. I'm going to add just a little bit more of the balsamic vinegar to it. Okay, so while that's cooking, I'm going to take 2 pieces of rye bread. You can use pumpernickel, but my favorite is the rye. So now we're going to use the butter that I thought was mayo. So you're going to butter one side of the bread, and we'll go ahead and turn that down. So you're going to butter that side pretty good. You'll just put that on medium heat and start letting it get toasted really well. So this is, again, it's one of my favorite sandwiches to make, especially when I'm having people over, because it makes it look like you've been working so hard, and it's not. It's so easy, and like I said, you can tweak it to how you like it to make it easier for you, or you know, your taste buds are different than mine, so you tweak it however you like if you wish to do that. All right, you're always going to put butter side down. Go ahead and tempeh is looking good. So, talking about tempeh while this is getting good and brown, the tempeh, when I first tried it, I didn't know it was tempeh. I actually thought it was meat. Because when I first started this lifestyle of just, you know, cutting meat and all animal products out of my diet, I didn't really understand it because it looked gross. But you can make it taste like anything. Like I said, you can make it taste like chicken, you can make it taste like beef, even pork. It's crazy how this is so versatile in anything that you like. The best thing about it is it's just full of protein. So a lot of people ask me all the time, Mary Beth, where do you get protein if you don't eat meat? Well, there's a ton of protein in this. So just remember that. If you do decide to make the sandwich and you do get energy, you're satisfied, and you don't have to eat as much because there's a ton of fiber in it also. I'm checking my bread. It's coming right along. And if you don't want to, if you want to toast your bread first, that's perfectly fine. Totally up to you. All right, I'm going to go ahead and take this out. Let's see if I can get that over here so you can kind of see. And I don't like to use a lot of oil, so if I use anything, it'll be this butter, just a little bit, just to keep it from sticking. So while that's still kind of cooking, I'm going to go ahead and toast some more bread, and this is for the next recipe. How many of you love bruschetta? A lot of times when I go out to eat, I will get some bruschetta and at a restaurant. Okay, so I'm taking this out just because it's good and brown. And so I'm going to make a bruschetta sandwich here in just a minute. All right, so this is done. But what I'm going to do is I'm also going to be really careful because it is hot. You're going to toast the other side. Make sure it's buttered. Throw that in there. I'm going to throw a little bit of olive oil in this other pan. It smells so good in here. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get this bread toasting. All right, so while that's cooking on that side, you're going to go ahead and add your dressing. You're going to put that on your bread while it's in the oven, or on the stove top. Just slather it on good, because this is the part that gives it so much flavor. All right. Then you're going to add your tempeh. Then comes the sauerkraut. Sauerkraut, a lot of people, like I said, do not like it, but it is an excellent source of probiotics, which is also good for the digestive tract. So it also prevents a lot of problems with your digestive tract, like IBS, what else? Colitis. It does actually prevent some of those conditions. And the thing with sauerkraut, it's made from cabbage, so it's actually better once it's cooked. You get more nutrients from kraut after it's cooked because it releases enzymes. So I'm going to throw some more dressing on top of that sauerkraut. So just put a generous amount of sauerkraut on there. Do not be afraid of it. And then we're going to go ahead and top it with this other piece of bread here. And it can get a little tricky sometimes. There we go. So this is smelling so good. I'm going to flip. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and pull this out. And again, be really careful. Don't get burned doing this. Turn that down. Tastes pretty good. Alright, so you're going to cut this and serve it. I don't know if you can see this, but it smells so good. Try it one more time. Alright, so there is your homemade plant-based Reuben. If you want to dip, you just put a little balsamic vinegar to the side and dip this in that, and voila, it's delicious. Alright, so I'm going to set this to the side. So the next thing I'm going to do is a bruschetta sandwich. If you don't know what that is, it's more like a toast. So I'm going to go ahead and get the bread toasting. And as you can see here, I have fresh portobello mushrooms. I also have, get this tempeh off of here. I also have an onion and sun-dried tomatoes, garlic, and basil pesto. And you can buy all of this already made if you want, which that's what I've done today. The basil pesto is an organic pesto that I just bought at Kroger. And the sun-dried tomatoes are in the aisle where your tomato sauces are, spaghetti sauce, all that is in that aisle. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, put a little olive oil in this one pan here. We're going to get these mushrooms going. Now, a lot of people don't realize that mushrooms, we think it's a vegetable, but in reality, it's a fungi. So it's full of potassium and iron and protein. So again, this is a sandwich that's packed with protein, packed with nutrients, and just good for you. So you can still eat healthy and eat delicious. All right, I'm going to chop this onion real quick. And you know, you've heard me talk about onions. Onions are great they actually help fight certain cancers. And along with mushrooms, it's called a cancer bomb. So if there's something that's maybe your body's stressed out, a lot of times you will get inflammation in the body just from being stressed out, because every day is stressful, no matter what. We all go through it. So this helps your body be prepared for those stressful days. Just put a little bit more olive oil there. So you want your toast for the bruschetta to be toasted really well. And you don't have to chop this up really fine. It can just be sliced. I've just kind of did a rough chop through here. Nothing perfect. Okay, then you're going to add your garlic. I'm going to go ahead and crank that up. sun-dried tomatoes. Gives me a little bit more olive oil. I love sun-dried tomatoes. They are heaven. So I'm going to go ahead and do about a teaspoon of the pesto. And check my bread, still toasting. You can actually toast bread in a saucepan on top of the oven. Just a teeny tiny bit of olive oil or nothing, you just have to watch it really good. You can just kind of watch it and it will toast just perfectly right on the stove or oven. No, stove. Stove top. This is smelling so good. I don't know if you can see that or not. So the only thing it needs now is some good green in it. So you're going to put about 2 cups of spinach, and this is fresh spinach, not frozen, fresh. So we all know spinach is good for us. Popeye told us so, right? Made him stronger. He knew way before we did. So you're just going to continue cooking this so you don't want to overcook this, because if you overcook it, you're cooking all the nutrients out of it. So just remember that. You want it to be wilted, but not to where you can barely see it. That means you've overcooked it. I'm going to grab some more tomatoes for this. This is sun-dried tomatoes. I'm just going to go ahead and add all of them. So this is about half a jar. There we go. Check my bread. Go ahead and crank that up a notch. So once your bread gets really good and toasted on one side, what I like to do is add a little bit of this pesto. I don't know if you can see this, but it smells and looks amazing. So I'm going to turn down the heat on that to about a medium-low heat so I can toast the bread a little bit. Let's see here. Not toast the bread, but coat the bread with some pesto. When I first saw pesto, I thought it looked so gross, but it is so good. It's basil, oregano, and all types of Italian, even garlic, Italian seasonings all in one with some really good olive oil. Go ahead and put that back in there to be toasted. But if you're using a toaster, do not put this back in the toaster if you put the pesto on. And you don't have to use basil pesto. You can use tomato pesto, which a lot of times that is what bruschetta is made from, is the tomato pesto. And if you're writing this recipe down, the last show we talked about that you will have access to the website where you can actually get these recipes. So you won't have to keep rewinding and trying to get them all down. All right, that's looking so good. Okay, so I'm getting ready to put the sandwich together, but just remember all of this food here is full of probiotics. It's full of nutrients. And whoever thought that the more you cook a food, the more nutrients are produced in the actual sandwich, like the sauerkraut. Who would have thought fermentation actually made the cabbage more helpful and beneficial to you? So we all learn a little bit every day, and I just thought that was pretty cool. Cabbage can smell, but it is so good for you. So if you haven't tried it, I highly recommend you trying this sandwich. This is very good. All right, so I have my toasted bread here. I'm going to crank this up one more time. Don't know if you can see this. And no salt or pepper. So everything you need is right there. You don't have to tweak this or anything. The pesto and the sun-dried tomatoes give it the most perfect flavor ever. All right, so I'm going to put my other piece of bread on there. It's toasted ever so good. Look how perfect that is. All right. So today we did our bruschetta sandwich with fresh mushrooms and all kinds of goodies. And then we also did our Reuben vegan sandwich. And I hope you give it a try. Don't knock it till you try it. It smells so good in here. That is our show for today. Thank you so much for tuning in to BLTV, and we'll see you next time. Bye.